Alright, we're going to do a quick video here on another computer that will be listed for sale here. This is one of the computers I've definitely kind of thought out more than I do most computers. I'm able to usually throw them together, but I had some special components, so I kind of wanted to set you up as best as you can possibly be here for, you know, plenty of upgrades and expansion, as well as just a great platform to start out with. This computer is definitely capable, and we'll go over that now, starting with the specifications. This does have an Intel Core i5-3570K, which is an unlocked quad-core processor. It does have the stock cooler. I did try to make this case have as much ample cooling as possible, though, so that as per your own risk, you can definitely go ahead and overclock it if you choose. There's some program on there that I'll show you in just a moment, where if you choose to mess with those settings, you can. But nonetheless, so it does have the i5. It also has an HD Radeon 6870. This is a Hawk edition from MSI. This is going to be a older type of card, but nonetheless, it's still very capable. It just has the 1 GB of GDDR5, but nonetheless, it can handle games like GTA 5. We'll definitely get to check out Fortnite on it and go from there. So give me just a moment here, and we'll take a look inside the case. Alright, so once you've unscrewed the screws in the back, you will want to go ahead and first remove the panel on the right side of the case here, and it's kind of tight on there because there are some cables jam-packed in here. And the reason why you want to take this one off first is because attached to the other side panel is a cooling fan, and it is plugged in right here. So you're going to unplug this plug, and then you can just kind of take this white piece and just set it right there so that it's not going to catch on anything here. And then we'll flip on over to the right side, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so once you've unplugged that plug, you can hear it's a little bit quieter. I don't know if you could hear before, but that's to this fan right here. I got a fan mounted that basically sucks air right over the graphics card to help with the graphics card overclocking, should you choose to do that. But nonetheless, once you get the screws off for this side panel, this one you'll just slide off. It should come off a lot easier than that other one. And then you can see here where that cord is just kind of sitting freely, and you should be able to just pull that out, no problem. Also, on a side note here, we do have this cup, which almost sits directly over the CPU cooler. That way we are ensuring that it's getting its own source of cool air. So basically the idea for the airflow in here is that we have one big fan that's kind of sitting zip-tied there in place of where the CD drives go, and it pulls from this grill that I replaced the two disc tray covers with. And you'll have air coming through this way and then passing out the back, and then you'll also have some extra air coming out here, and then because that exhaust fan sits right here blowing air out this way, you're going to basically have air kind of coming in from the front down and moving out the back. And because this is getting its own source of cold air, you'll have that cup sitting right here, and then that'll ensure that all the air that comes out the sides and the underneath parts here is immediately getting pushed out the back or down towards the bottom. While we're in the case here, you can see that this does currently have 8 GB of RAM. That's two 4 GB sticks. And then on the empty slots there, you do have room to put 2 more 4 GB sticks. These will support up to 32 GB total. That's 8 GB per channel. Coming down here to the MSI 6870 card, you can see it in action. It does have the slot here for SLI setup. However, the motherboard does not currently support the SLI setup. You would need to get an aftermarket motherboard if you really wanted to kind of push this processor's capabilities to the limit. It could more certainly handle a dual system setup when it comes to 2 GPUs. Also, with that in mind, the very next upgrade I would definitely recommend, especially if overclocking is on your list, is to upgrade the stock cooler. Unfortunately here, I don't have any additional coolers. But that is something that you're going to want to go for should you decide that you want to go ahead and overclock it as much as you possibly can. And then just to wrap things up inside the case here, we do have an 850 watt thermal take power supply. It's 80 plus bronze. It's semi-modular. It takes standard power connectors, it looks like. So you have your 8-pin, and then you have the 8-pin for the Molex SATA connectors. I don't have any additional cables currently for it. So the scenario it's set up in is how you get it, but it should more or less work. It does have a full cable for Molex, a full cable for SATA port or SATA plugs, and then it has the two 6-pin, which can be, one of them can become an 8-pin with the extra 2-piece that's kind of hanging off the side there. So this should handle most moderate upgrades that you plan to do to the system. And then closing it off with the storage, we have a 250 gigabyte boot hard drive, and then we have a 2 terabyte excuse my language, enterprise class hard drive. So you have a separate hard drive to minimize any kind of risk that might be involved with keeping everything on one drive, and then you have a 2 terabyte hard drive which serves the specific purpose of being used for you know, heavy kind of data capacity and whatnot. Anyways, enough of me rambling on. Let's go ahead and I'm going to start up Fortnite here, and we'll end the video just giving you a quick tour of everything else. Actually, before I start that, I do want to note here that if you look on the side, you can't really see it because the camera's not blending the light right, but this is Intel Extreme Tuning Utility. This is what you will use to overclock the i5 processor. And as I said, you definitely need to take your own risk when doing this, because this is going to essentially generate more heat in your system. You want to heavily monitor it, and unless you know what you're doing, I don't recommend just going and tweaking around with the settings just to see if you can get more power. Same thing goes with this program here. This is MSI Afterburner, which is specifically for the GPU, because this is a twin Frozer card, which MSI says, you know, it has good cooling. So effectively, you should be able to get a pretty decent amount of performance boost by overclocking that there. Nonetheless, we're going to launch Fortnite here, and this is going to be a gameplay test with it on stock settings, just so you can get an idea of how it performs. And also on the shop page, if that's probably how you'll be viewing this video, below this video should be another video showing a series of games that another YouTuber uploaded with the 6870 GPU, just so you can kind of get an idea of what to expect from your performance. So I'll be right back once this video comes up, or once the game starts. Alright, and we are back here. So as you can see here, I got Fortnite loaded up. Everything is pretty much on high, which is what the settings defaulted to. Other than the view distance, I did knock that down to medium just to kind of level out the gameplay. Feel free to turn it back up to high, although the frames might not be as predictable. But as you can see, resolution is at 1920 by 1080 100%, which is the resolution of this monitor that included. This is a 1080p 22-inch monitor by Dell. So as you can see here, we are playing Fortnite currently, and you can see it's steady at the very top right corner there. It looks like it's, you know, probably about 38 to 34 frames per second. Now, a lot of times, especially when you're first dropping into the map here, you can't expect just a tidbit of drops in frames. And of course, lowering the settings would smooth the overall gameplay out, but the end result is definitely right where it needs to be. You can see right now as we drop in, we're going down to about 25 frames per second, but once we get settled in here, you can see it's looking out towards the city. We're hovering right at about 28 to 30. And like I said, these are with the settings on high, so feel free to lower the settings if you kind of prefer more frames versus the overall look of everything. But nonetheless, I hope you have enjoyed this long video. This was a bit longer than I wanted it to be, but feel free to just watch the rest of the video and enjoy, and thanks for checking it out. Oh, and this will give you an idea, too, of how it sounds when it's under power. You can see the with the case open, you can make not audible that noise pretty clearly. But that is something that comes along with it here. It does the job. It keeps it where it needs to be. And I'm actually playing with no audio right now, so somebody could be coming and I wouldn't even know. Alright guys, and I say that this is a good point to end the video.